In this session, we'll discuss about invoking a for your action workflow from OAF, and based on that approval, PO status will be changed. Okay, so let me show you the workflow first. It's very simple workflow. There is
Yeah.
not much business logic available in that. I'm not written, I mean to say.
Okay.
This is the workflow. So just it requires the input parameter PO header ID, and it has just a start process and either approve or reject. So here in either of the case, whether approve or reject, it will call, if it is an approve, it will call the approve WF status procedure of the which is available in the Aura WF utils. Okay, so let me
Okay.
show you that package also. This is specification. Yeah, so here we have a method called in this XX Aura WF utils. We have two methods. One is approve WF status, another one is a reject WF status. Okay, so in the approved, it just simply says approved. So let me show you the package body. As of now, I have not written that logic also. I just wrote a just simple logging mechanism.
Mhm.
Okay. If it is approved, it will just insert approved information in the log table. If it is reject, it will insert reject information in the log table. So now in this case, what we can do is, right, so here itself, I can write one more method, update xxora, sorry, xxpo header, where header ID is equal to, let me check the methods.
If it approves, it is going to insert data into the table.
Update, right?
Update. Okay. Update into approved.
Yeah, update into upload or reject. That's it. So this is a table.
Status.
Update this one, and PO header ID, set PO header ID. I mean where PO header ID is equal to, and I'm trying to retrieve the PO header ID using this particular parameter. So in the workflow, I have created a parameter called XX PO header ID. Set status is equal to upload. Okay, and similarly in the reject scenario, rejected.
Also, it inserts into the log table, right? The above insert statement is into either cases. It is going to insert into log table.
Yeah. So log table just for the purpose of like having a understanding whether it reached or what is the issue kind of thing. Status. It's not its status. Okay, status. Okay, status lookup code.
Status lookup code.
Mhm. Okay, so it got compiled. Now what I'll do is, so I'll try to invoke the workflow from the PL SQL first, and then we'll invoke from the OAF. So I'll invoke from PL SQL first. So let me run our search page also, or maybe we can just check it from here also, either way. So as of now, I'll just run the PO search page. Okay, so now let us say this particular status, right, 150, it is in a new status. We can still improve some more business logic. Let us say we can mention like as of now, right? So approve will be called whenever a status is a particular status, right? Maybe if it is a new, then only it will call the approve. Those are all extra business logic we can do it. But now to validate whether the PL SQL is working fine or workflow is working fine, what we can do is, let us say for the PO header ID 150. So here I'll pass PO header ID 150. Okay, and I'll just call this one, and now we should be receiving the notification. So if we just refresh here, right? The latest one, please provide your approval workflow, provide your this one. Maybe I should have printed some message, but yeah, so it is not telling us for which PO header ID, but yeah, this is the one. I'll say approve.
Mm.
Okay, now we can check the status in the database. It should be in approved status. So PO header ID, can you see? For 150, it is approved status. Let us say I'll retry again for the 150. I'll try to reject it. Okay, 150 again, and I'll refresh, and you can see the latest one again. Now this time I'll click on reject. We should be seeing the status as rejected now. Okay, got it? For 150 now the status is rejected. So we can still improve the logic, but as of now, this is how we can design a simple workflow. Now the same logic we'll try to invoke from the OAF submit button. So in our search page, I mean the DML page, let us say I'll click on this one. Okay, maybe the status would have been changed, right? That's why it is giving this kind of a exception. Because in the database, it has a different status. In the OAF, it is kind of temporary status, which it could not correlate properly. So we have to reload the page, and then only we get a proper result. So we'll run the page again. Search. Okay, so rejected also, it is still showing update. So which it means there is some issue in our switcher logic. Okay, so I'll click on update as of now. Okay, still it gives exception. Okay. Process request, it says PO detail 68. PO detail 68 it says. Okay, okay. It's because of the bean stuff and all these things that is trying to check it. So what we have to do is here, right? If you remember last time,
Yeah.
so we are trying to now, it is coming to the update mode. It is like unable to find the bean information. So it's giving a null pointer exception. So always make sure that you always check the null. All the beans whenever you work with, you have always need to check null pointer stuff. Okay, so because we don't know what reason in which scenario, or maybe some other, because of some other logical issue, you may get some other issue. So always not equal to null comparison, always the best thing we have to consider.
Yeah.
Now, click on search, update, right? So that was the issue. Okay, it seems maybe someone would have modified the flags or something. Okay, that's the reason we're getting this issue. That's fine. Another thing is, we could not see any data here. Maybe I'll click on cancel. Let's see the other PO. Okay, some issue there. Custom context. Yeah, can you see now it is displaying the context? Yesterday it was not working, right?
Yeah.
Custom context. It could be some refresh pending or cache pending kind of thing. Ideally, it has to work. Okay. Now I can see the custom context, PO number, supplier name, supplier location, supplier email. Okay, that's fine. Just save it. Now, when you click on submit, right, we can do a number of validation. Let us say if it is not having lines, raise an issue or maybe something like that. Okay, but as of now, I'll just click on submit. Sorry, when we click on submit, we have to call the workflow. As of now, I think we are simply changing the status, right? Submitted or approved by default. You have to change that logic. So in the PO details CO, on the process form request, on submit button. So we are simply, what are we doing? Is we are simply setting the status, right? Set header status as like the pending, right?
And
Yeah, so we're just simply setting the status to header, I mean pending status. So instead of this one, what we do is we should not set any status, simply call the workflow. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just have my logic. Yeah, this is just 10 lines of code is what required for the workflow approval. Okay, so I'll just copy paste this logic. This the way we have called our concurrent program, right? Similarly, we'll have a same concept here. So I'll just say public void. So here I'll just paste it. So for any workflow, the main important parameters, right? So here, if you observe the way we invoke a PL SQL, right? The way we invoke a
Why
workflow from PL SQL, similar way we'll be invoking from
class
the
name?
OAF also. Come again?
Public void you don't not
No,
mention anything.
I'll finish that.
Okay.
So here, if you observe carefully, the way we are invoking a workflow from PL SQL, like you have item name, process name, user name, and some set of attributes, right? A similar way, we'll have everything in the Java also. Same set of APIs, similar names also. Okay. So, this is
Item
invoke
type.
approval workflow, and item type is this one. Okay. And process name is this one. Okay. And now we require a sequence. So I created a sequence already. So I'll just use this sequence. Now, next one is you require a attribute. So in my case, we have a parameter, right? Set like the PO header ID. So that particular parameter. So here, if you observe, the parameter name is. So from the PL SQL point of view, what is the name? What is the API? WF engine, WF underscore engine set item attribute number, and this is a parameter. So similarly, in the Java also we have the same set of API. WF dot set item attribute text is for the purpose of text, and in our case it is number. So I'll just say set item attribute number, and this is our parameter, and we need to get our PO header ID, right? We need to get our PO header ID. So what we need to do is, so here this logic, right? So here if you observe this workflow stuff, it requires a page context logic. It requires total page context logic. So if you require a page context logic, so obviously we cannot do in our AM, isn't it? We have to finish all this Java logic here itself, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay. So now what we can do is, so here we, so in the header, so maybe some other like what do you call? We already have a API, right?
Mhm.
What we can do is we can just call our AM method to get the value. That is one way. Or very easier way is, see, now in our case we have two things, right? We have a data in the view mode as well as update mode. What we can do, so we can just call this particular message text input component and you can get the data. But like for each mode you have to get it.
Yeah.
But one more thing is like a submit will be enabled only for the creator update mode. So there is no harm in getting the data from the PO header ID component, isn't it?
Yes.
So simply what we can do is in the PO details page. So in the header update region, XX PO header ID, simply get the data from here. So we don't need to go to AM and all those things because,
No.
yeah, okay. So, so I can simply comment this one. String PO header ID str is equal to page context dot get parameter of this one. So from the message text input component, we can get the value directly using a page context dot get parameter logic. Okay.
Okay.
PO header ID to be submitted. Now what we do is in this invoke approval workflow, so I'll pass the PO header ID also. So now, but this is a number parameter. So this is a number parameter. So here if you observe, I'll just control click on this one. Okay, it's not going. 1 minute. So here if you observe in the number parameter, it requires something in a big decimal. The data type is big decimal. So what we do is, what we can do is, so can you see, we just need to convert this particular parameter. So in our case, let us say we don't require this. So I'll put PO header ID BD big decimal. Okay.
Big
And
decimal
just
is the data type. That is.
yeah, it's a data type. It's a larger integer, I mean to say. Okay. So I'll reiterate what we have done. The first thing is like declaring item type, declaring a process name, and declaring like a key which is required to invoke a workflow. Okay. And then we are converting this item key to string, And so OA navigation is a API for the purpose of invoking a workflow. OA navigation is a API, is a Java class, and WF is an object which is of type navigation and which is the workflow engine API. And in this OA navigation, you have a set of API, set of methods like initialization, create a workflow, create process, start process, number of things which are required for the workflow. Similar to our WF engine API in the PL SQL. So WF.create process, it requires we need to pass a page context and then item type, process, and item key. So page context, this particular page context will pass all the information of your page context information, nothing but a user ID, responsible date, and all the things. It will pass from your OAF to the workflow. And the next thing is we need to pass our parameter. So it requires, if it is a number, we have to convert to a big decimal, and then we need to set that item attributes, right? If it is an item attribute number or text or whatever it is, you need to set it. Need to mention page context, item type, process, and then you need to mention your particular parameter and a parameter value, and then start process. That's it. Okay. So now this method, what we do, this method will call it from our submit button.
This one, this process, where did we created this item type and process? From where did you get these two? Process, item type
This is
and
a workflow which I created, isn't it? This is a
yeah.
workflow which I created, and this will have all the information, XX, this all stuff, right?
Yeah, same thing. Whatever they created here, same thing. Item type and okay, same thing. Whatever.
The way we invoke PL SQL, right? So how do we invoke from PL SQL any of the workflow? We need to mention the item type and process name.
You should know that item type and these two you created while creating the workflow, right?
Yes. So whatever the workflow when we create, so now this is a custom workflow which I created, and I have my internal names, right? XX or raw workflow and PO approval work process. These are the things which I have to pass it to the API. Then only I can invoke it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So the same thing, right? So the way you're calling from PL SQL, the same way we have to call from Java also. This is item type, process name, and the sequence.
Okay, got it.
Okay, here. Okay. Now we can just before that, what I'll do is like to have the test data. So I'll just okay, anyway, we can create the test data, right? That's not an issue. Let's run the page. So I'll create a new PO 41 0041 PO 41 legacy 41 suppliers. Okay, I'll save it. Okay, data is saved and the status got changed from draft to new, and maybe we can create lines. Something like this. Okay, I'll click on cancel. Let's search it first of all. And now we could see the latest record. Where is this? 41. Here we could see. And now I click on update, and now I'll submit it. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, we got some exception. Let's see what is the issue. It says number format exception. That is fine. Okay, so it's because of the conversion of a string to a big decimal. Okay.
Okay.
So here it says invoke approval workflow, PO detail CO, line number 157 as well as 136. And 157 is a major thing. So I'll go to 157. So here, yeah, so this is the issue. So just check this one, big decimal, what it requires. Maybe it requires, okay, big decimal, it requires string. There is no issue, right? Here we can pass string. That's
Yes.
fine actually. But check whether this particular parameter is null or something. No, it is not null, isn't it? PO rate is 41. That's not an issue. Okay. header ID DB set item attribute number XXP header ID big decimal. I'll check this number also, and here also it says big decimal. See here it is showing null. Can you see PO header ID to be submitted? PO header ID to be submitted. It says null. That's the issue.
Yes.
Okay, so there is some issue here itself. So header update region, right? So we are in the header update region, and yeah. So one more interesting thing is sometimes this page context.get parameter will not work. Okay, now I'll show you. What I'll do is I'll just declare OA message style text. OA message style text. PO header ID bean web bean dot find index child recursive. So this logic, the page context dot get parameter logic may not work for all the components. So we have to be very careful in that scenario.
This is the alternative method, right? This one is alternative.
Yes, this is a alternative method. Check the button ID, I mean the component ID also. The component ID is correct only. We just copy paste it, so it should not be an issue. Okay. Let's try again. Click on search for 41. I'll click on update. I'll click on submit. Okay. Now can you see it got submitted, and we can see that here PO order ID to be submitted is 41. Okay. Now we can go back to our standard page and search in the instance. We should be receiving the approval workflow, right? Please provide your approval. And I'll click on approve. Now maybe go back to PO detail search page. I'll go to search page, search it. We should see that it is approved. 41 is approved now.
Yeah, approved. Yes.
Right? And it is in this is like now it is non-editable. It is non-editable. Okay. Maybe we can try for the other one. I'll click for the 150. I'll click on update, and again I'll click on submit. Okay. Now it says some other issue. That's fine. So this is how we have debug one by one. Okay. There's no other alternative. Yeah. Again the same issue here. Here if you observe it, it is not getting the information. So the basic reason is I'll tell you. So when you're clicking on this one, when you're clicking on which one? 150, right? So when you click on 150 update, what is happening? It is not getting any data. It is not getting any data. There is some issue in the SQL query. The SQL query which was there here, the SQL query which was there in the search one, and the SQL query which was there in the PO details CO, there is some issue there. Okay. That is why it is not printing. So now we are getting null pointer exception, right? So what we have to do, the basic thing is, so here very simple. So now what we do is, if PO header ID is not equal to null, then only call the workflow. Then else why are we calling it? Isn't it? We should not even call it. We should never, when we write any program, we should never get any null pointer exception. That is very, like a basic thing for a developer to validate. Okay. So now what I'll say, unable to retrieve PO details. We should have raised this exception in the PO in the process request also. When we don't receive any process, when we don't get any PO header ID, right? We should have raised the exception there itself. Okay. These things you have to do it when we perform the unit testing appropriately, right? You have to be writing all these things. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to discuss is like here, there is something called bundle exception. There's something called bundle exception. I'll tell you. Let us say I'll click on search. Now I'll click on this one. Okay, this is anyway nonsense one. I'll remove that. Let's start. Yeah, just take this one. So here, if you observe, when we click on submit, right, we are displaying a status, I mean, a message called PO submitted. But generally in the standard messages, what happens, like it will clearly tell you, what is the, which PO number is submitted and all those things, right? They are called, they generally, like they are called message tokens. They're called message tokens. We'll just try to understand how do you pass a message token also. Okay. First of all, we'll create a message similar to that, and then we'll try to understand how do we do that. Okay. Application messages, sorry, XX or PO approval submission. Okay. Assume this is my message. Now here, what I have to do, I need to replace this PO number dynamically with the exact PO number dynamically, isn't it? So that we can achieve using the message tokens. Okay. So now here, instead of using this existing one, what I will do is I'll use a new one. I'll use this particular one. Okay. So now if you remember the OA exception, right? OA exception. So let me open that. I'll control click. In this one, we have a different way, right? Different set of overloaded methods. The third parameter is a message token. The third parameter is message token. A token will have lookup name and value. A token will have a code and a value. So at runtime, whatever the code name which you mentioned and whatever the value you mentioned, it will get replaced appropriately. So now in our case, so make a note of this information so that we have to refer. Okay. So now I'll just say workflow exception submission is equal to throw new. Okay. Either way we can do OA exception. One is FND. Next one is a message name, right? And what is the next one? Next, third one is a token. So declare a parameter. Just copy this one. Message tokens. One minute, I feel there is some issue here. Let me get my code.
Okay.
This is always a confusion. So yeah, this is how we have to declare a token. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just need to declare a token array. The syntax is a little bit tricky. Yeah. So we just want to pass our PO header ID, right? So just pass PO header ID. We can pass some more extra parameter if we have, but as of now we have only one parameter. So I'll just pass one parameter and PO number we have to replace with this one. Okay, that is the next one. And next thing is yeah, I can consider this one very easy one. Only thing is here the third parameter should be token array. Third parameter should be a token array. And what is our particular message name? This is a message name. Okay, remaining we are already aware. Only thing is the token array creation. The token array creation is a little bit tricky part. And now I can just throw information message. Okay, so what are we doing is we just create a token array, and in this we have to mention the set of tokens we have it and replace with appropriate mention the appropriate value. It's like a key value pair, and at runtime this content in the message will get replaced with this content. Okay, header ID, it will get replaced with the header ID. Okay, or whatever we pass it. So we can just check that. Search. Okay, let us click on submit. Can you see purchase order 99 is submitted successfully for approval to supervisor?
Yeah.
Okay, this is how we can use a bundle logic. And now one more thing I want to discuss is, let us create a new pivot and 0042. Simply save it as of now. Now what I want to do is, let us say when I click on save, I want to raise an exception saying that whether like vendor ID is not selected, or comments is not selected, or maybe currency code is not selected. What we can do is, let us say if we can make them mandatory. That is one way. We can make them mandatory. We can we can raise we can automatically, that is a form validation we call it as. That's called form validation. But we want to handle the exceptions manually. Let us say if any of the parameters not null, what we do, we just simply raise an exception, throw new exception, we can raise it. But let us say when you have multiple errors, you can't raise one by one exception, right? We have to raise a set of exception at a time. Assume that I want three parameters like vendor ID, or I mean nothing but vendor name, vendor site, as well as currency. I want to make them as mandatory. Vendor name, vendor site, as well as currency, I want to make them mandatory. But I don't want to use a form validation logic. I don't want to use a form validation logic, but I want to raise an exception. So let us understand how do we do that. Okay. Generally, we always, like whenever you perform any save, right, we always do a validation logic. We always perform a validation logic before saving it. So now what I'll do is, in the AIMIMPL, so I'll just simply call validate PO header ID logic. Validate PO header data, like this. So I'll validate each and every particular set of thing, and based on that, I'll raise a error. Okay, now I'm getting my row instance. So this will have all the information. So we require vendor ID str is equal to row dot get vendor ID. Okay, or maybe it's already number, right? So I'll just say vendor ID num, and I'll declare number. Vendor site ID, and similarly currency code. Okay, these are the three things. So for each of them, let us say if vendor ID not equal to null, I'll consider one exception. Similarly, I'll consider three exceptions for each of them parameters separately. Vendor ID, vendor site, as well as currency. But I should not raise exception when I should not raise exception for each and everything separately. I just want to bundle them and then raise them. So for that, we need to consider a concept called bundle exception. So here, if you observe, right, so let me copy paste this logic. Let us say I'll say vendor ID exception. This is the first exception. Vendor site exception, as well as currency exception. Okay, so then now what I'll do is, so whenever user has vendor ID exception, I'll call this one, and for the vendor site, I'll call this one, and for this currency. I'll call here. Okay. And now, and other thing is, okay. So what are we doing is, so here, one more thing, let me add up this one. You're just adding up the exception message to a array list. We are just simply adding up the list of exception to the array list, and it finally we are raising them. So now I'm just adding up the list of exception to the array list, and then after that I'm calling a method called oaException.getBundledException and passing the array list.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how we can simply raise a bundle exception. And one more thing is, like, these are all messages should be there. Either we can hard code the message content, or you can mention, you know, like the set of eval messages. Now let us, I'll say raw vendor ID validation US application object library. Please select vendor name, right? I'll just say like this, US application object library. Okay, mention this, select valid. Okay, final one. Of course, we need to follow appropriate naming convention. I'm just not following that, but I just need to follow that. Select valid currency. Okay, and this validation message, when we have to call, when we click on save, or sometimes in some of the pages you may have a functionality called validation. When validation is successful, then only the save or submit will be enabled. So those all things also we can handle it. So as of now, on save in the PO details, where is save? Yeah, save button, right? So before doing any commit, I'll just call the validation. This is how generally happens. You need to always call the validation, then only you have to perform the remaining functionality. So let's call this one. Click on search. I'll click on the, which one? 42 update. So I don't have any of these things, right? Let us say for currency, I'll select INR, and let's try what happens now. Click on save. You can see it says valid currency. It seems there is some logical mistake. Or let us say if I click on save without entering any of these things. Okay, now we got null pointer. So there is some logical mistake. PO header ID, validate PO header data, line number 258. It says null pointer 258. Okay. Did we check not equal to null?
Yeah, check.
Okay, the problem here is for vendor, right? So I think it is okay. I'll print the value, then you'll understand. See. Right? So I'm just printing something like this to understand what is the value of this when there is no value. Okay. We have to check empty value also. Generally for the string here, what happens is the value won't be null. The value won't be null. I mean, the object won't be null, but the content will be null. Content will be empty, I mean to say. So we have to do all this validation logic. So let's see that. Now we can easily understand why it is not working as expected. Okay. 42. Update. So I'll just remove this. Now just simply click on save first. Now can you see?
And nulls on all three nulls. And
All three nulls only. So it is not empty. But why it is okay? Now it raises this one. Line number 260. Then what it is telling, null pointer only it is telling, right? Line number 260 it is telling null pointer exception. Okay. So let's see why it is so. Line number 260.
Same place. Yeah.
Okay. New array list. List.add vendor exception, vendor site ID. Okay, let me check whether this list, like the issue is there sometimes this array list should be of appropriate type. Just check that. This is from the sun.java.util.collection, right? Check that whether it is same or not. Yeah, it is same. So that is not an issue. New array list. Okay. It is clearly 260 it is telling. So nothing but the OA exception itself is having some issue, right? OA exception is having some issue. So what are we doing here? We're adding up that list.add new array list. Let me check if they have done any mistake. This is how we add up. Okay, this is how we raise it. I don't see anything wrong here, right? List.add and then throw it through the array list. That's what we do. Let's see again. But no, definitely there is some. Should be some. Sorry.
Add, okay. EX and then okay, same.
Yeah, list.add, list.add, list.add. Okay, and this list it is telling not. Okay, let me check worst thing. Let's say if list dot equal to not null. Okay, and I'll say exception list length or size or count, something will be there. Get count, no size. Yeah. Okay. So generally in the arrays, right, most of the times either you have a get count or a size. You'll have those set of methods to support, to get the information about the length of that. Click on search, maybe 42, save. Okay. Exception list length is 0. Very strange. How come list length is 0?
Yeah. List.
So they should have been okay. If list length is 0, oh sorry. See, very wrong thing, man. Here I have to check is equal to null, isn't it? It is
Yeah.
not, it is not equal to null. It should be is equal to null. If it is equal to null, then add up the exception and then you have to raise an exception. And also here one more interesting thing is,
Opposite direction. Actually,
yeah,
regularly we used to go not
yeah,
null.
yeah,
So
yeah. And also you're right, there is one more thing you have to always see. Now this is what happens. We think everything is correct, but there is some issue, right? But now always check this. List size is greater than 0. Always check this. This is one of the very good thing. List is not equal to null. If list size is greater than 0, then only raise an exception. Else don't raise it. Else it will give a null pointer. That is what we observed, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay. I was checking the total opposite. Yeah.
First time we are.
Yeah. So this is how we have to debug also. These are these set of things, right, which are common. How many times you program, there is always a chance of getting some kind of unknown issues or a known issues kind of thing. We always need to validate each and every line. The major thing is, like the condition what we kept. We think it is totally correct, but somewhere we'll get a trap there. So 42. Let's click on save. Got it?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
and now let us say I will enter INR. Now we have to get only 2 exceptions. This is how it will solve. Let us say I'll just mention site. Now we have to get only 1 exception.
Yes, yes.
Vendor site. I think it is considering this value. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, maybe vendor I have to select first of all. You can save. Okay, now it says vendor site. Okay. Okay, maybe this vendor is not having any data. Let me check. Enter a value for vendor ID FP. Okay. Some issue, but yeah, it's fine. So click on save. Right? There is no issue now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay,
Yes.
this is how it works. Let us say if I remove INR again, let's click on save. We have to get the currency issue.
The exception handling.
Okay, so this is how we can have a single exception or a multi-level exception, multi-stuff. Okay. Yeah, so we'll wind up here. Maybe next time we'll discuss the remaining set of topics.